Ever wonder if your dog is secretly stressed? Dogs can't talk, but their behavior speaks volumes. In this video, we're revealing 10 subtle signs of stress every dog owner should know. Stick around for number 5. It's one of the most ignored, yet so common that most dog owners miss it completely. Ready to help your dog live a happier life? Let's dive in. 1. Excessive panting. Panting is one of the most natural behaviors you'll see in dogs. After a fun session of fetch or a walk on a warm day, you expect your dog to be panting. However, when that panting becomes excessive or happens when your dog isn't exerting themselves, it could be a sign of stress. Stress-induced panting is different from the normal panting that helps dogs cool down. It's often irregular, heavier, and accompanied by other stress signals like a tense body, wide eyes, and restlessness. Imagine your dog in a new, unfamiliar environment like the vet's office. You may notice they start panting more intensely than usual, even though they haven't been physically active. Their breathing may sound labored, and they might be pacing or unable to sit still. This combination of behaviors points to one thing: your dog is feeling anxious or overwhelmed. Why does stress cause panting? When dogs are anxious, their heart rate increases, just like ours does. This triggers their body to breathe faster and more heavily. It's the body's natural response to stress, but when it happens frequently, it can become a concern. Stress panting can also occur during thunderstorms, fireworks, or when meeting new people. These situations make many dogs feel anxious or threatened, and panting is a way for them to try and cope. To help your dog when they're stress panting, the first step is to identify the cause of their stress. If it's something that can be avoided or removed, like a loud noise or an unfamiliar person, try to remove your dog from the situation. Create a calm environment where they feel safe. You can also try calming techniques like gentle petting, speaking in soothing tones, or offering their favorite toy or treat as a distraction. In some cases, stress panting might be more chronic, indicating deeper anxiety issues. If you notice your dog panting excessively on a regular basis, especially in non-stressful situations, it's worth consulting your vet. They may recommend calming aids, behavioral training, or other interventions to help your dog feel more comfortable. 2. Pacing back and forth. Have you ever noticed your dog walking in circles or pacing around the room with no clear purpose? This behavior is more than just restlessness. It's a sign that your dog may be feeling anxious or stressed. Pacing is a common stress behavior in dogs, especially when they're in situations where they feel uneasy or out of control. Think about times when your dog has paced back and forth, maybe during a thunderstorm, before a visit to the vet, or when they're in a room full of unfamiliar people. Pacing is their way of dealing with nervous energy. They can't sit still because their mind is racing, and walking helps them cope with that overwhelming feeling. It's important to understand that pacing isn't just about physical energy, it's a mental coping mechanism. Dogs pace when they don't feel safe or when they're unsure of what's going to happen next. In many cases, pacing is accompanied by other stress signs like heavy panting, whining, or trembling. For example, dogs who suffer from separation anxiety often pace when their owners leave the house. They may walk from room to room, searching for comfort or trying to find their owner. This pacing can go on for hours, making it not only a sign of stress, but also a habit that's difficult to break. What can you do to help? The first step is to provide your dog with a safe, quiet space where they can retreat when they're feeling stressed. Make sure this area has their favorite toys, a comfortable bed, and maybe even some calming music or a white noise machine to block out disturbing sounds. Exercise is another key factor. A well-exercised dog is less likely to pace due to stress, as physical activity helps burn off nervous energy. If your dog tends to pace before stressful events, like a vet visit, try taking them for a walk beforehand to help calm them down. If the pacing becomes a regular behavior, or if it seems like your dog can't stop even after they've been removed from the stressful situation, it's time to consult your vet. Chronic pacing can be a sign of deeper anxiety issues that may need professional intervention. 3. Yawning frequently. When we yawn, it usually means we're tired, right? But for dogs, yawning can mean something entirely different. Dogs yawn not just when they're sleepy, but also when they're stressed. If your dog is yawning frequently in situations where they shouldn't be tired, it's a sign that they're feeling anxious or uncomfortable. Stress yawns are different from normal yawns. They're often longer, more exaggerated, and happen in situations where your dog might be feeling overwhelmed. For example, if your dog starts yawning during a car ride, at the vet's office, or when meeting new people, it's not because they're bored or tired, it's because they're trying to calm themselves down. Why do dogs yawn when they're stressed? Yawning is a self-soothing behavior. It's their body's way of releasing tension and trying to relax. Dogs might also yawn as a way to signal to other dogs or humans that they're feeling nervous and don't want to engage in confrontation. Stress yawning often comes with other stress signals like lip licking, avoiding eye contact, or a stiff body posture. If you notice your dog yawning in these situations, it's important to pay attention to what's happening around them. Is there something that's making them feel uncomfortable? To help your dog, try to remove them from the stressful environment or situation. Give them time and space to calm down and offer positive reinforcement when they relax. If your dog is prone to stress yawning in specific situations, like meeting new dogs or people, gradual exposure and positive experiences can help them become more comfortable over time. 4. Avoiding eye contact. Eye contact can mean a lot in the world of dogs. While it might seem like your dog is being shy or disinterested, avoiding eye contact is often a sign of stress or discomfort. When a dog looks away from you or avoids making direct eye contact, they're trying to communicate that they're feeling anxious, uncertain, or even afraid. In the dog world, direct eye contact can be seen as a challenge or a sign of dominance. So when a dog avoids eye contact, it's their way of saying, "I'm not a threat," or "I don't want to engage in conflict." This behavior is often seen in situations where the dog feels overwhelmed, such as when meeting new people, being scolded, or encountering another dog they perceive as a threat. Imagine you're at the park and your dog is meeting a new dog for the first time. If your dog suddenly looks away, avoids eye contact, or even turns their head completely, it's because they're feeling nervous about the interaction. It's their way of diffusing the situation and signaling that they're not looking for a fight. Avoiding eye contact can also happen when your dog is being disciplined. If you've ever scolded your dog for doing something wrong, you may have noticed that they avoid looking at you. This isn't because they're guilty. Dogs don't feel guilt in the way humans do. Instead, they're avoiding eye contact because they're stressed and want to avoid further confrontation. To help your dog in these situations, the best thing you can do is give them space and time to adjust. Don't force eye contact or push them into an interaction they're not ready for. Instead, let your dog approach the situation at their own pace. Positive reinforcement, like treats and praise, can help build their confidence over time and make them more comfortable in situations that usually cause stress. 5. Ears pinned back. This one is super common, and yet many dog owners miss it. A dog's ears are incredibly expressive, and they can tell you a lot about how your dog is feeling. When a dog's ears are pinned back tightly against their head, it's a clear sign that they're feeling scared, anxious, or uncomfortable. Dogs use their ears to communicate a wide range of emotions. When they're happy and relaxed, their ears are usually in a neutral or forward position, but when they're stressed, those ears go back. You'll often see this behavior in situations that make your dog feel insecure, like during thunderstorms, fireworks, or when they're in unfamiliar environments. Different breeds express this behavior differently. For dogs with floppy ears, you may notice the base of the ear being pulled back, while in dogs with upright ears, it's much more obvious. You might even notice their ears twitching slightly, especially if they're listening for something that's making them nervous. For example, if you've ever seen your dog's ears pinned back when they hear a loud noise or when they're meeting a new person, it's a sign that they're feeling uneasy. This ear position is often paired with other stress signals, like a tucked tail, trembling, or even hiding behind furniture. So, what should you do if you notice your dog's ears pinned back? The first step is to stay calm yourself. Dogs are incredibly sensitive to their owner's emotions, and if you're anxious, it's likely to make your dog even more stressed. Try to create a calm environment and reassure your dog with gentle words and slow, soft petting. If your dog's ears are pinned back due to a specific noise or event, like fireworks, try to distract them with a toy or treat. You can also create a safe space for them to retreat to, like a quiet room with their bed and some familiar toys. In some cases, calming supplements or anxiety wraps, like thunder shirts, can also help. 6. Changes in appetite. Has your dog suddenly lost interest in their favorite food, or are they eating way more than usual? Changes in appetite are a common sign of stress in dogs. Just like in humans, stress can cause dogs to either lose their appetite or eat more as a coping mechanism. If your dog suddenly stops eating, it's important to pay attention to what's going on in their environment. Have there been any recent changes, like moving to a new home, introducing a new pet, or a shift in your daily routine? Dogs are creatures of habit, and when their routine is disrupted, it can lead to stress, which in turn affects their appetite. On the other hand, some dogs may start eating more when they're stressed. This is especially true for dogs who use food as a comfort, much like humans do. If your dog is constantly begging for food or seems to be eating out of boredom, it could be a sign that they're feeling anxious. Changes in appetite can also be accompanied by other stress behaviors, like restlessness, panting, or pacing. If your dog's eating habits have changed and you're noticing these other signs, it's a good idea to take a closer look at what might be causing their stress. To help your dog, try to maintain a consistent feeding routine and avoid making drastic changes to their diet during stressful times. If your dog has lost their appetite, try offering smaller, more frequent meals or adding something tasty to their food, like a bit of chicken broth or a favorite treat. If the changes in appetite persist for more than a few days, it's important to consult your vet. Sudden changes in eating habits can also be a sign of underlying health issues, so it's always better to err on the side of caution. 7. Trembling or shaking. Trembling or shaking isn't just something that happens when a dog is cold, it's also a common sign of stress. If your dog is shaking and it's not because they're chilly, it's likely because they're feeling anxious or scared. This is especially common in smaller breeds, like Chihuahuas or Terriers, but it can happen in dogs of any size. Dogs might tremble during thunderstorms, fireworks, or even trips to the vet. This trembling is often paired with other signs of stress, like a tucked tail, pinned back ears, or heavy panting. It's important to note that trembling can also be a sign of pain, so if your dog is shaking and you can't find an obvious cause of stress, it's worth consulting your vet. In many cases, trembling is your dog's way of releasing pent-up energy and tension. It's a natural response to stress, but it's still a sign that your dog is feeling overwhelmed. To help your dog, the key is to create a calming environment. If your dog is trembling during a stressful event like fireworks or a thunderstorm, try to distract them with toys, treats, or calming music. You can also try using anxiety wraps, which provide gentle pressure that helps soothe anxious dogs. If your dog is trembling frequently or in non-stressful situations, it's important to consult your vet to rule out any underlying health issues. 8. Tail tucked between legs. A dog's tail is one of their most expressive body parts, and when that tail is tucked between their legs, it's a clear sign that they're feeling stressed or scared. A tucked tail is often a sign of submission or fear, and it's one of the most obvious signs of stress in dogs. You'll often see this behavior in dogs who are in unfamiliar or overwhelming situations, like meeting a new dog or being in a crowded space. When a dog tucks their tail, they're trying to make themselves smaller and less noticeable, which is their way of saying, "I don't want to engage in this situation." A tucked tail is often accompanied by other stress signals, like a tense body, avoiding eye contact, or even trembling. If your dog's tail is tucked, it's important to pay attention to what's happening around them and try to remove them from the stressful situation. To help your dog, create a calm environment where they feel safe. Offer them comfort through gentle petting, soothing words, or their favorite toy. Over time, you can help your dog become more comfortable in stressful situations through positive reinforcement and gradual exposure. 9. Whining or whimpering. Whining or whimpering is one of the most vocal signs of stress in dogs. If your dog is whining for no obvious reason, it's likely because they're feeling anxious, scared, or overwhelmed. This behavior is often seen in dogs who suffer from separation anxiety, but it can happen in any stressful situation. For example, if your dog whines when you leave the house, it's a sign that they're feeling stressed about being alone. Similarly, dogs may whine during thunderstorms, fireworks, or when they're in unfamiliar environments. Whining is often paired with other stress signals like pacing, panting, or trembling. It's your dog's way of trying to communicate that they're feeling anxious and need reassurance. To help your dog, try to identify the cause of their stress and remove them from the situation if possible. Provide comfort through soothing words, gentle petting, or distraction with toys and treats. If your dog's whining is due to separation anxiety, consider working with a trainer or behaviorist to help them become more comfortable when you're away. 10. Hiding or seeking isolation. When dogs are stressed, they may try to hide or seek isolation. This behavior is especially common in dogs who are feeling overwhelmed or scared. You might find your dog hiding under furniture, retreating to a quiet corner, or avoiding interaction with people and other dogs.